Well, hello, and welcome back to the Coachman. For today's story, we're going to be stepping into a story that feels playful at first and then quietly unsettling. And with this story, we're gonna be sticking with the same thing, where this story it doesn't have any original author. It comes from Scotland and Ireland and has been passed down from generation to generation. And it's called the Goblin Pony. And it isn't just about a strange little horse, but it's more about temptation that looks harmless, curiosity that moves too fast, and the kind of trouble that arrives smiling. So, with that being said, let's get into the story. Don't stir from the fireplace tonight, said old Peggy, for the wind is blowing so violently that the house shakes. Besides, this is Halloween, when the witches are abroad, and the goblins, who are their servants, are wandering about in all sorts of disguises, doing harm to little children of men. Wise wisdom, wise wisdom. Why should I stay here? Said the eldest of the young people. Honestly, that sounds like me so much, it's kind of scary. No, I must go and see what the daughter of old Jacob, the rope maker, is doing. She wouldn't close her blue eyes all night if I didn't visit her father before the moon had gone down. That sounds like a kid who is straight smitten. Period. I must go and catch lobsters and crabs, said the second, and not all the witches and goblins in the world shall hinder me. We'll see. So they all so they all determined to go on their business or pleasure and scorn the wise advice of old Peggy. Only the youngest child hesitated a minute when she said to him, "You stay here, my little Richard, and I will tell you beautiful stories." I gotta like Peggy's, she's slick. Beautiful stories. All right. But he wanted to pick a bunch of wild thyme and some blackberries by moonlight and ran out after the others. When they got outside the house, they said, "The old woman talks of wind and storm, but never was the weather finer or sky more clear. See how majestically the moon stalks through the transparent clouds?" Then all of a sudden, they noticed a little black pony close beside. "Oh no," they said, "that is old Valentine's pony. It must have escaped from its stable and is going down to drink at the horse pond." "My pretty little pony," said the eldest, patting the creature with his hand. "You mustn't run too far. I'll take you to the pond myself." With these words, he jumped on the pony's back and was quickly followed by his second brother, then by the third, and so on, till at last they were all astrewed the little beast, down to the small Richard, who didn't like to be left behind. And that's spoken like a true youngest child. And honestly, if you do have a young, I would say not like just one younger brother, but I'd say or a younger brother or sister. But if there's like three kids in your family, you know this is the youngest one who never wants to be left behind. My little brother used to be like this, my youngest brother, but not anymore, of course, because he's older. But yeah, youngest never want to get left behind. And I guarantee you, I'll tell you this: go ask your youngest if they felt like growing up that they always were getting left behind, and 9 out of 10 they'll tell you yes. On the way to the pond, they met several of their companions, and they invited them all to mount the pony, which they did, and the little creature did not seem to mind the extra weight, but trotted merrily along. The quicker it trotted, the more the young people enjoyed the fun. They dug their heels into the pony's side and called out, "Gallop, little horse! You have never had such brave riders on your back before." Quiet before the storm. In the meantime, the wind had risen again, and the waves began to howl, but the pony did not seem to mind the noise, and instead of going to the pond, cantered gaily towards the seashore. Richard began to regret his time in blackberries, and the eldest brother seized the pony by the mane and tried to make it turn around, for he remembered the blue eyes of Jacob the rope maker's daughter. He told you, smitten like a motherfucker. But he tugged and pulled in vain, for the pony galloped straight into the sea, till the waves met his forefeet. As soon as it felt the water, it neighed lustily and capered about with glee, advancing quickly into the foaming billows. When the waves had covered the children's legs, they repented their careless behavior and cried out, "The cursed little black pony is bewitched. If we only had listened to old Peggy's advice, we shouldn't have been lost." Well, in the words that most of my people would tell you, you're fucked. The further the pony advanced, the higher the rose of the sea. At last, the waves covered the children's head and they drowned. Towards morning, old Peggy went out, for she was anxious about the fate of her grandchildren. She sought them high and low, but could not find them anywhere. She asked all the neighbors if they had seen the children, but no one knew anything about them, except that the eldest had not been with the blue-eyed daughter of Jacob the rope maker. And as she was going home, bowed, just bowed with grief, she saw a little pony coming towards her, springing and curveting in every direction. When it got quite near her, it neighed loudly and galloped past her so quickly that in a moment it was out of her sight. In the words of Dave Chappelle, when that pony passed, I could just see like a bubble above his head that just says, "Gotcha, bitch!" And I feel bad saying that, but like that's all I could think of. This little black pony just strolling by with a big smile on his face, just twatting or whatever. But as you can see, a lot of this story, I mean, I think it's very, very relevant today. I think a lot of times I think it's just I think this story should remind us that adventure without awareness can turn into regret, and not every invitation needs to be accepted. And for me, it's like working up in Tahoe, not only in the ski industry but also on the water with boats and water sports and all that. Like I've seen it, because it's anybody I think that works in tourism can tell you that, like, yeah, a lot of people they don't see the signs of when, you know what, I'm just going to leave well enough alone. And I think it's not only in tourism, I just think it's in life in general. That sometimes adventures, they're just not worth it. Sometimes there's dangers you don't see, and sometimes the danger's right in front of you and you don't want to see it. So hopefully that story, actually, before I go, if you have any stories like this, or any kind of like anything that came to mind, by all means, please let me know. You can catch me on not only on Facebook, but also on Instagram. Also, you can see the stories over on YouTube as well, on Spotify. There's tons of apps. But yeah, but if you ever like have any of these stories where you're like, oh my goodness, this is relevant, like let me know, because honestly, I'd be really interested to hear people, like how, like what came to your mind. Like I thought of, me being up on the hill and the mountain, also being on water, and just kind of like, oh, this is still relevant, 2, 3, 4, 5, how many knows, hundreds of years, years later. But with that being said, hopefully you enjoyed today's story, and until next time, take care.